we are experiencing major problems as a result of the Y2K breakdown.
Bye-bye, human race.
Y2K is an ambitious horror comedy that aims to capture the chaos and cultural quirks of the late 90s, but it falls into the trap of prioritizing nostalgia over storytelling. Directed by Kyle Mooney, a comedian known for his offbeat humor and knack for quirky projects, the film dives headfirst into the Y2K scare, a moment in time when the world collectively panicked over potential technological catastrophe. While Y2K nails its retro aesthetic and sprinkles in enough visual and auditory callbacks to thrill anyone who lived through the era, it struggles to blend its comedic tone, horror premise, and teen drama into a cohesive, engaging narrative. The film follows Eli, Jaden Martell, a painfully shy teen, and his more confident best friend, Danny, Julian Dennison, as they reluctantly crash a New Year's Eve 1999 party hosted by the swaggering soccer Chris, the Kid Leroy. What starts as a typical night of teenage awkwardness and unrequited crushes takes a turn for the bizarre when the clock strikes midnight, and technology, from computers to Tamagotchis, rebels against humanity. It's a fun setup, clearly inspired by The Faculty and other 90s horror flicks, but the execution struggles to balance the absurdity of killer electronics with the emotional stakes of its young protagonist's survival. One of Y2K's biggest strengths is its immaculate attention to period detail. From the fashion, bucket hats, jelly sandals, to the sound of AIM login notifications, the film recreates the turn of the millennium with almost obsessive precision. The soundtrack is packed with earworms from the era, instantly transporting viewers back to a time when burned CDs were prized possessions. However, the film's reliance on these nostalgic touches becomes its crutch. The relentless flood of references often feels like the main focus, leaving the actual plot and character development as afterthoughts. While the audience might chuckle at a Fred Durst cameo or a parody of Hackers, they'll find it harder to connect with the characters or become invested in their fates. The characters, unfortunately, are where Y2K falters most. Eli, as the protagonist, should be the emotional anchor of the story, but despite Jaden Martell's best efforts, the character comes across as flat and uninspiring. He spends much of the film in wide-eyed shock, never evolving or showing much depth beyond his awkward demeanor. Danny, played with charm by Julian Dennison, fares slightly better as the comic relief, but even his jokes struggle to land in a script overloaded with cringy 90s slang. The supporting cast, including Rachel Zegler as Eli's crush, Laura, leans heavily on stereotypes without offering much substance. Worse, some characters seem to exist solely to embody niche 90s archetypes, making them feel more like props than people. From a horror perspective, Y2K delivers some inventive and occasionally gory sequences as the tech goes haywire. Watching a Tamagotchi morph into a tiny killing machine or seeing household gadgets turn deadly offers a darkly humorous edge. The visual effects are decent, blending practical and digital techniques to capture the chaos, though they occasionally lean too far into camp. Yet, the stakes never feel particularly high because the film struggles to create genuine tension. The scares are overshadowed by the comedic tone, which itself is uneven, leaving Y2K caught in an awkward limbo between genres. Thematically, the film tries to explore millennial nostalgia while appealing to Gen Z audiences, but this is where its identity crisis becomes most apparent. It's a teen movie aimed at people who were teens over 20 years ago, creating a disconnect that makes the film feel oddly out of touch despite its period authenticity. Kyle Mooney even inserts himself into the narrative as a stoner in his late 30s, hanging out with the teen characters, a choice that inadvertently highlights the film's inability to decide who it's really for. Ultimately, Y2K is a film with plenty of ideas, but not enough focus. It's visually rich and brimming with love for its era, but the lack of compelling characters, inconsistent humor, and underwhelming scares make it a frustrating watch. Fans of 90s culture might find some enjoyment in its Easter eggs and callbacks, but as a piece of storytelling, it's more novelty than necessity. With a sharper script and stronger character work, Y2K could have been a clever genre mashup. Instead, it's a glossy, nostalgic mixtape that skips over the heart of what makes a good teen horror comedy tick.